Hey, what's up, and welcome to Learn Random Things Weekly. Today we're going to be looking at how to set up multiple views in Blender 3D as well as set up reference images. So, real quick, there's a shortcut if you just wanted to real quick get 4 views. If you do Control, Alt, and Q, it'll just split up the 4 views like that for you. But the only problem with this is you don't really have like little individual settings for each window, and I mean this will work. But I have a better way of doing it, a way that I like more. It's up to you which one you want to do, but let me show you another way. So we'll just Control-Alt-Q to undo that. Alright, and so the way that I like to do it is, if you see up here in this corner, there's like a little triangular thing, and if you put your cursor over it, it kind of turns into like a little plus sign, or like a crosshair. If you pull on that and drag out, it'll create another window. And now the nice thing about this is it has these settings down here, so that you can mess with these, and some of them are going to apply across multiple windows and everything, but you know, I just kind of like having these down here, and that's really the only difference from the other way that I know of so far. But and you can drag out more this way. Like, you can really customize it. You could just do like a 2x2 instead of the other way where it was just automatically a 4x4, or not a 4x4, but you know what I mean, with the 4 windows. And then down here, you know, you can split it up, and you can do it as many times as you want. I'm pretty sure, like, at some point it gets a little ridiculous. And you know, if you do kind of mess up and you have something like this and you want to get rid of it, just click and hold on this, and instead of dragging it over to the left right now to create a new window, just drag it to the right, and you'll see like an arrow pop up here, and you can close it whichever way you want. If you go this way, the one on this side is going to go over here and just fill in the entire area. And if you drag it this way, the one on this side will fill in the entire area. So let's just close that one up, and we don't really need this one either. We're just going to set up 4 displays here, so I'll pull down on this side, and there we go. And real quick, another tip that I like is if you press T, it'll get rid of this little bar over on the side here, and you can have it up on like just one of the windows or something, or you can just get rid of it on all the windows. And again, that's just by pressing T. And another quick tip, the bar on this side you can access by pressing N. Alright, so now we've got these set up. We have different views, so we're going to go in and customize each view. Now, if you have a number pad, you can press the different numbers to correspond to different views. Like, for example, 7 is the top view, and I prefer to have this window up in the top view. And if you press 5, you'll see it switch into orthographic mode or out of it, you know, like you can toggle back and forth, and you can see a little bit better what that does. Like here we have like a nice perspective mode, and if you press 5, it'll just make it very, just like you don't really have like any depth to it. And that sometimes is helpful, especially if you are in just a flat view, like a top view. So we'll have that set up, and then down here I'm going to press 1, and that's going to give us our front view. And by the way, up in this top left corner, it'll tell you what the view is. And again, I'll press 5. Whoops, that was 2. There we go. We'll press 5, and that will also create a similar view to this, but now you can see this is the top and this is the front. And finally over here we are going to get our right view by pressing 3. Zoom in a little bit, press 5. Alright, so now we have a nice perspective over here, and we have different views that we can work with. Now on these views here, I usually like to go over each window and press Z, and that's just going to switch into wireframe mode, and that's just a little nicer to work with. And then I kind of leave this one as is, but you can always toggle back and forth. It's not a big deal. You can work whichever way you like. I'll show you why in a minute. This is kind of nice to have these as wireframe though. Alright, so to add our reference, I'm going to press N, and this is how we're going to add the image. And by the way, N was just to bring up this panel. If you don't remember the shortcut, there's a little plus sign right here you can just drag over. We're going to scroll down here to where you see background images. Go ahead and click that, and then click add image, and now we're going to click open. Alright, and once that pops up, you can use these folders and everything on the side to go ahead and browse to where you want to be. And I have just a little basic just reference here that we can use for an example. So go ahead and click it, and you can just click open over here, or you can just double click it and it'll open it right up. And now you see we have a nice little reference image on this right here, and you see it's only on the one window, you know, the one that we did this in. So that's kind of nice. Now, before I go ahead and line it up, I'm going to go to the other windows, and we'll press N on each one. Just scroll down, background image, add image, and now you don't have to open again because it's already open. So if you go to the left here and you click on this little icon, now you see your image is right there, and you can just click and it'll load it in right there. And you can do that again over on this window. We're just going to scroll down. We're going to go to background images, add image, click the little icon to the left, and the image that we loaded in. And now this is also nice if you don't have all your references in one image. You could open a separate image and you could just load in the different images in the different windows as well. But I have all my references on one image. Okay, so now to go in and set up our different views. So this is our top view, and our image up here is going to be our top image. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll back down to where that add image thing was, but now we have like all these settings in here, and the only ones we're really going to work with right now are going to be these, the X and Y, because if you drag those around, that changes the position of the image. Now if you wanted to, there's tons of other stuff, you know, you have like rotate, and over here we have opacity. If we change that, that just changes how visible it is, and if you want you can fade it out quite a bit, or you can make it completely opaque and easy to see. Personally, I like to leave it about at default, just at about the 0.5 here, just about 50%. And the last couple options here, you know, we have it so you can flip horizontally. That's nice if you want to work with like a right and a left side and they're going to be the same. You can flip it and use the same image for both. You can do that vertically as well if you need be. Alright, but like I said, we're just going to really worry about these for right now. So let's go ahead and try to line it up. Okay, so that's about centered here. We don't need to be too picky. It's a very simple reference image. We're not going to get too in-depth here. So once that one is set up, you can go and do the same for the rest here. This will just be our front. The object will be kind of sideways, but that's fine. It's just a very simple object. If you wanted to, you just line it up and say that this is going to be the front. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. It's up to how you are planning on making your model. So we're going to get it about centered. That's pretty decent. And now for the last one over here. And there we go. That's about centered. So we're pretty close now. We got all of our images here. We haven't scaled them at all, so they should be about the same size. Everything should be good to go. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to press Tab, and that's going to switch everything over into edit mode. Now in edit mode, we're going to be able to select vertices, move things around, and we're going to just quickly go ahead and run through making this model just to show you kind of how you would use the reference. So I'm going to press A, and that's going to deselect everything. And now a trick I like to use is, and this is why it's nice to be in wireframe mode, if you press B, that'll allow you to drag and select vertices. So we can select all the ones on this side. And now if you look over on this side, we have this whole face selected now. And that's nice, because let me show you what happens if we don't do it in wireframe mode. So let me press A to deselect everything. I pressed Z to go back into just a solid. And now if we try to do that trick by pressing B and then selecting everything, you'll see over here that we only selected those on top. It didn't get the ones on the bottom, therefore the entire face is not selected. We only got these literal vertices right here, the two that were on top. That's why in wireframe mode, you end up selecting everything, because you can see all the vertices through it. So that's why I prefer wireframe mode for these, because it's a lot easier to select things and work with the object. And over here it's nice just to have a little reference, so I usually leave that one solid just to see what the actual object looks like. So we'll come back over here, we'll press B, get these selected again, and we'll just try to line stuff up by just dragging that little arrow there, and that'll allow us to move those vertices. Press A to deselect, B to select the other side, do the same kind of thing. A to deselect, B to do this, and we'll just kind of drag it in here, and same thing with the bottom. Now we got that pretty much matching there, so I'd say that's good, and we can move on to the next one. And same thing here, we're just going to do B, kind of line that up as best we can. And already I can sort of see that our reference image is a little off-center from where the other one was, so I'm just going to try to line that up real quick. Wrong one. Let's go this way. We're going to need to do about in between there. So let's do 4.5, and there we go. That's really lined up now, so that's perfect. So we got that, and then we'll go ahead and get this one lined up a little bit better, and this one is already going to fit the square because we've already lined everything up over here. So this one just kind of already fits nicely. Okay, so I dialed in the numbers that I think are going to fit this pretty well, and it looks like it fits pretty nicely, so I don't really need to make any adjustments, but it's always good to just double check each view, make sure everything lines up nicely. Once we're verified that all the views line up, our references are in place, everything's the same size, now if we look over here we have a nice little like rough idea of the size of the object. And you know, that's very good to have, because you always want to start basic and then add more detail. You don't want to try to start with too much detail too early. That's just going to make it hard for you to continue. So now, just another quick little trick. I'll just show you how to just cut out this sort of stair shape here. Alright, so now over here we're going to press our spacebar, and if you type in cut, you'll see two options. There's loop cut and slide, and loop cut. We're going to be using loop cut because that allows you to just cut a loop directly in the center, and if you use the scroll wheel you can actually add divisions and they'll be equally divided. Loop cut and slide is going to let you make a loop cut and then kind of move around where it is with your mouse, so it's not going to be perfectly centered. And this object is going to be divided up into equal thirds, which you'll see here in a second. So we're going to use this one, the loop cut. And now when we hover over the center here, you can see we get a nice little pink line. And if we scroll up, you'll see it divide. And we can keep scrolling and make extra cuts. And if you scroll back down, it'll go back down to 1. We're just going to go ahead and use 2 here, because you see it lines up pretty nicely with those stairs. And make sure you're on this like center like vertical line, because if you go horizontally, it'll do a horizontal cut, which we'll do in a second as well. But for right now, let's go ahead and place this one. And we'll press A to deselect, and now we have that nice little cut there. Press spacebar again, and it'll kind of just have our history saved here, loop cut, so we can just press loop cut again here. And go ahead and scroll up, and you'll see that lines up nicely with the stairs. So we'll go ahead and click to place that, and press A to deselect. So now, if we look over at this top window here, we can see it's pretty nicely divided up. We see the rough shape of the stairs. We just need to cut these boxes out here, and I'll show you a quick and easy way to do that. We'll just go ahead and get rid of some of the vertices and then repair it real quick. Best way to do that, let's go back over to this window here, make sure we're still in edit mode. If you ever get out of that, by the way, you can just tab back into it from object mode. That's the easiest way. Or, you know, you just click this, go to edit mode if you're really lost. And then, you know, we'll press B. We'll go ahead and select these vertices here. Just go and delete, press the delete key, and then vertices. And we'll do it just for these right here. Delete vertices. So now it looks good over here. Like, it looks like we've got a pretty nice stairs cut out. But if you go back over here, you'll notice we got a lot of holes now. Now the easiest way to repair this is just to fill in the empty space. And now just, you know, these windows you can adjust around. So we're going to make this one a little bigger now because I'm going to work over in this one. So we're going to adjust this down, and now we have a nice big window up here to work with. So the easiest way to do this is down here where you're in vertice selection mode. If you go into edge select, now when you right click on an edge, it will select it. Alright, so what we're going to do is over here you're going to right click the edge, and then over here you're going to hold shift and click this edge, and that's going to select both of them. And now, really easy, we're just going to press F, and that's just going to fill in the space between. And that's easy to remember, you know, F for fill. We're going to do the same thing here. We'll click this one, shift click the other line, and fill. Click here, shift click, fill. Click here, shift click, fill. And we're done. We have a nice little staircase set up here from these images that we used as reference. And that's basically it. That's how you go ahead and divide up the windows, have different workspace areas that you can customize individually. That's how you set up different views, that's how you put in the reference image, and a couple quick little tips on modeling as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave a like, and if you want, go ahead and throw in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos. I don't mind trying to help you guys out and put out content that you want to see. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a good day.